5 years into the marriage, husband decided that keeping house was a dead-end gig and I couldn't even support myself. At Lunar New Year dinner, while every relative watched, my mother-in-law appended a bowl of leftover slaw over my head. A hen that won't lay doesn't deserve the good feed. Husband didn't shield me. Instead, he urged, "Mom's only trying to help. You really should go get a job." Calmly, I produced the divorce papers and a fresh property deed. Emery thought I'd lost it until I dialed Alex. "Alex, put everyone on notice. We're proceeding with the eviction sweep." The sink was a mountain of greasy plates. My name is Serena, and I was scouring the last oily dish, my lower back throbbing as if it might snap. Tonight was the first time Emery had brought colleagues home since his promotion to department manager. I'd started cooking at 2 in the afternoon, 12 courses, from cold apps to sizzling stir-fries, broths to shellfish, each plated with obsessive care. I wanted him to feel proud. "Sis, your cooking is insane. Better than any 5-star chef." "Bro, you lucked out landing such a devoted wife." Around the table the compliments never stopped. Emery lifted his wine glass, glowing, and humbly deflected. "Oh, she's just home all day with nothing else to do, so she tinkers with food." Those casual words stabbed clean through me. Nothing else to do. What did that even mean? For him, I'd walked away from a career that had glittered ahead of me. I'd morphed from self-supporting woman into the idle housewife he described. 5 years, every chore, every family need swallowed by me, so he could rise from bottom-rung clerk to the man he was tonight. And it all boiled down to nothing else to do? After the guests left, Emery collapsed drunk on the sofa, necktie crooked, shirt splotched with Merlot. I stepped over to ease off his jacket. He shoved me away, disgust in his eyes. "Don't touch me, you reek of grease." He yanked a few hundreds from his wallet and flung them on the coffee table. "Here, for your trouble. Go buy yourself something pretty." The gesture felt like tipping the maid. I stared at the crumpled bills, stomach churning. "Emery, we're married." "Married?" He laughed coldly, hauling himself upright to jab a finger at me. "Serena, look in the mirror, greasy hair, thrift store sweater, 5 years out of the loop. You're an embarrassment I can't take anywhere." Today, in turn, asked what my wife does for a living. Should I say you're unemployed? That in turn, new hire, young, glossy, top-tier diploma. He'd been mentioning her nonstop. Know what my coworkers' wives are? VPs, founders. None of them panhandle their husbands for cash. I bankroll you, what more could you want? Every sentence scraped like a dull blade across my heart. I clenched my fists, nails carving crescents into my palms. "Emery, I quit for whose sake? For mine?" He snorted as if I'd told the joke of the year. "Serena, drop the martyr act. You slunk home because you couldn't hack the corporate world, simple as that. If you had any spark, you'd have popped out a kid by now. Yet here we are, 5 years nothing. Freeloader, barren hen." So that's the ledger, he kept on me. I studied the man I'd loved and served for half a decade and felt nothing but estrangement. Silent, I began clearing the debris of the party. He must have mistaken my quiet for surrender, or maybe my feelings never mattered. He kicked off his shoes, stalked into the bedroom, and slammed the door. I stood amid the wreckage of glasses, leftovers, and a heart turned to ice. One by one I tore the bills he'd tossed, shredding them into confetti that fluttered into the trash. Looks like this new year is ruined. New Year's Eve, every window blazing with celebration light, but in husband's living room the air curdled. Every relative had shown up. The table groaned under platters and bodies. At the head sat my mother-in-law, face stretched long. From the instant I stepped in, her glare stayed sharp. Husband's sister, Ellis, didn't bother hiding her eye rolls. I perched on a corner chair, the permanent outsider. Dinner began. My mother-in-law carried a steaming red-braised fish past me and thumped it in front of Ellis. "Sweetheart, eat up, fish makes you smart. Pass the civil service exam next year and make your brother proud." Next, she unloaded a platter of soy-braised pork shank in front of the nephew. Big treasure, pack on muscle, then land a quality wife later. Dish after fragrant dish landed with pinpoint favoritism. Everyone served except me. At last, only one bowl remained. lunchtime leftovers of chilled cucumbers. She marched over, slammed it before me, dressing splattering my blouse. Baron hen, you don't rate the good stuff. Eat this and scrape the fat off your gut. The room froze. Every eye toggled to me, some pitying, some scornful, most just relishing the drama. My cheeks blazed, not from vinegar spray, from the poisoned words. I lifted my gaze to husband. All I needed was one syllable. Mom, enough. Nothing. He didn't even look my way, afraid contamination might jump the gap. Seconds later he muttered, Mom means well. You really should get a job instead of moping around the house. People look down on you. Look at you, no decent outfit. You shame me when we go out. It's New Year. Give me a break. Don't rile Mom. Each line poured hot oil on the fire she'd lit. So they were the family, I was the interloper. I scanned the tableful of righteous faces and laughed. Laughed at the fool I'd been for 5 years, pouring heart and lungs into this bottomless pit. The last ember inside me winked out. No anger, no sorrow, only Arctic calm.
Curtain time.
I rose slowly. They braced for tantrum or desperate pleas. Husband's brows knitted. Serena, what now? Don't you dare humiliate me. I ignored him. From my tote, I withdrew 2 items. A neat sheaf of papers and a pristine, crimson booklet. I laid the papers on the lazy Susan in front of husband. Across the top, 3 bold capitals stared up. Divorce agreement. His pupils contracted. Serena, gone crazy? He snatched the document as if to shred it. My mother-in-law screeched, Divorce? You dare. Jobless woman. Leave my son and you'll drink the northwest wind. And split our property?
Dream on.
You walk with nothing. Nothing. Yes, zip. Ellis chimed. 5 years free room and board. My brother's charity ends now. Scram. The cousins buzzed. Shameless. Dumping the guy right after his promotion. Must be angling for a payout. Calculating which. 30 and divorced. Who'd want her leftovers? I watched the circus, their faces caricatures. I didn't bother rereading the agreement. I'd memorized every clause. I forfeited every dime of community property. Pure walkaway. When husband reached that paragraph, panic flipped to smug triumph. At least you know your place. He clicked his pen and prepared to sign. Sign. I said it flatly. Then I lifted the scarlet booklet in my hand. A People's Republic of Real Estate Title Certificate. I opened it slowly, displaying it to everyone like a trump card. Emery and the rest of you, listen up. My voice wasn't loud, yet it sliced through every corner of the living room, louder than the chatter. The condo you're standing in, plus the units above, below, left, and right of you. I paused, sweeping my gaze across their stunned faces. This entire building, floors 1 through 12, 12 units, 1,588 square meters total, is, every square inch, my premarital property. The room fell tomb quiet. You could have heard a pin drop. Everyone looked frozen, expressions locked mid-breath. Emery's pen-holding hand hung in the air, mouth gaping wide enough to swallow an egg. Blanche's smugness cracked into pure shock and disbelief. No, impossible. You orphan girl with dead parents, where would you get a whole building? You're lying. That deed is fake, she shrieked, voice warbling. She lunged to snatch the booklet. I stepped back, out of reach. Orphan, I sneered. I did say my parents were gone and I had no family. What I left out was that they died in a demolition zone car crash. A demolition? Yes, car accident. The driver paid a huge settlement. Add that to their savings plus the land buyout, and my guardian, my lawyer, used the money to buy this newly finished building the year I turned 18. I pretended I had nothing because I wanted someone who'd love me, not my money. Clearly, I was blind. I looked Emery dead in the eye and delivered the verdict, word by word. You already agreed to the divorce papers. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., at the Civil Affairs office. Also, you and your whole family have until noon tomorrow to pack your things and get out of my house. Otherwise, I'll call the cops for criminal trespass. I turned, opened the door, and left without another glance. Behind me, Blanche's screeches and curses tore through the air, and Emery's trembling, Serena, stop. I never looked back. Tonight's wind was biting, but it left me crystal clear. 8:50 the next morning, I showed up at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Moments later, Emery arrived. He hadn't slept, eyes bloodshot. Dylan, wearing the same shirt, creased and limp. He spotted me, rushed over, and grabbed my wrist. Serena, wife, I was wrong. Really wrong. His voice was hoarse, cracking. Yesterday, I was drunk and talking trash. Forgive me once. Let's not divorce, okay? My mom and Ellis already got an earful. They'll never disrespect you again. I regarded him calmly. The man in front of me was a far cry from the lofty, disgusted Emery of yesterday. Quite the performance. Too bad I wasn't the audience who'd cry for him anymore. I flung his hand off. Save the act, Emery. It makes me sick. Serena, he tried again. I cut him off. 9 o'clock. Inside. Don't waste my time. My iciness rattled him. He dropped to his knees on the sidewalk, in full view of strangers.
Wife.
I love you. 5 years. How can you just throw it away? He hugged my legs, bawling. Passers-by whispered and pointed. What's with that guy? Kneeling in the street. Must have really messed up. I felt nauseated.
Love.
He loved my house, the cozy life I bankrolled. When he thought I was penniless, he ground me under his heel. The second he learned I was loaded, he could kneel without shame and play devoted husband. Pathetic. Emery, stand up or I'm calling security.
My tone was flat.
He flashed a flicker of venom, then buried it under more pleading. Serena, for 5 years of marriage, even if we divorce, can we stay in the house for now? Mom's old. You can't throw her on the street. We'll pay rent. We'll be tenants. I smiled. Pay rent? I asked. Emery, what's your salary, 15? 20 grand a month. My building, 12 units, 10,000 each, 12 grand a month, every month. Can you afford it? Emery's face strained. 12,000 a month. A mountain crushing him. More than he'd earn in a lifetime. Inside. Sign. I said it one last time. Under my stare, he finally stood and trailed me inside like a ghost. 30 minutes later, we each held a dark green divorce certificate. Stepping outside, I felt lighter than air. He tried to follow. I speed dialed. Alex? Serena here. Yes. Owner of Building 12. There are strangers squatting in my unit. Bring a couple of security guys to escort them out. Also, swap the front door lock for a top-grade fingerprint set. I hung up and walked to my car without a backward glance. Behind me, his furious roar rang out. Serena, you vicious bitch. You'll regret this. Regret? My only regret is ever meeting him. When I arrived, a few uniformed security men stood by the entrance. The lead was a middle-aged man in gold-rimmed glasses, Alex. Riley, welcome back. He gave a polite nod. Which floor are they on? Still your unit, 1401. We knocked. They cursed and wouldn't open, Alex said. No problem. I have keys. We rode up. At my door, I slid the spare key in. From inside, Blanche shrieked. Who's there? I ignored her and turned the knob. The living room was a wreck. Blanche and Ellis lolled on the sofa, one shelling sunflower seeds, one glued to the TV, husks littering the floor. They froze when they saw me and security step in. Serena, how dare you come back? What are these thugs for? Blanche sprang up, finger jabbing. It's my house. Why wouldn't I come back? I answered coldly. Yesterday I said noon. It's 11. Where are your boxes? Move. Over my dead body. Ellis planted hands on hips. My brother lived here, so half is his. You won't hog it. Really? I turned to my counsel. Casey, educate her. My personal lawyer stepped forward, adjusted his glasses, and recited. Quinn, per Civil Code Section 1063, premarital property belongs solely to that spouse. The deed lists only Rowan, purchased long before she married Taylor. Thus, this building is Rowan's private asset. Taylor has no claim. I don't care about your stupid code. Ellis screeched. We're staying. Drag us out if you can. Happy to oblige. I flicked a glance at Alex. 2 security guards stepped forward at once, flanking Ellis and pinning her arms. What do you think you're doing? Let go of me. Touch me again, and I'll sue you for assault. Ellis thrashed like a wildcat, kicking and shrieking. The security team was well trained. They didn't flinch. They carried her out like a trussed chicken. This is insane. You thugs. Avery rushed over, claws out, aiming for the guard's face. Another security blocked her mid-lunge. Ma'am, please calm down. We're just following orders. Calm your mother. Avery spat a thick glob of phlegm. I frowned. Alex, call the police. Tell them we have trespassers causing a disturbance. The word police deflated Avery instantly. Bullies like her fear badges the way vampires fear garlic. Don't call. Her voice cracked. We'll leave. We'll leave right now. I said nothing, just watched. She shot me a sullen glare and began stuffing random items into plastic bags. There wasn't much to pack. For 5 years they'd eaten my food, spent my money, even worn the clothes I'd bought. Soon they staggered out under armfuls of ratty luggage. Ellis, still dangling between the guards, shrieked over her shoulder. Serena, you bitch. You'll pay. My brother will destroy you. I stepped into the doorway and looked down at her. Really? I'll wait. I pulled a sleek black card from my purse and handed it to Alex. Have the hallway disinfected top to bottom. Bleach, industrial strength. I want every molecule of them scrubbed away. They're filthy. Ellis's face turned the color of liver. Eventually the whole tribe shuffled out, tails between legs. I called a premium cleaning crew. Every sheet, towel, toothbrush, anything they touched went into contractor bags and straight to the dump. When the apartment gleamed again, I exhaled for what felt like the first time in years. The air no longer carried their sour scent. I gave myself a month. For 30 days, I didn't leave the city. I turned my phone off and vanished from every feed. I woke when I wanted, walked to the gourmet market for sea scallops and white peaches, cooked myself lunch on copper pans. Afternoons, I curled in the balcony hammock with a novel and a pot of jasmine tea. At night, I opened a bottle of Barolo, watched the skyline glitter, and drank alone. I replayed the past half-decade and realized that, apart from Emery and his parasites, my life was a blank page. No friends, no career, no passions. My world had been a cramped room, and he'd been the ceiling. The ceiling collapsed. I didn't crumble. I simply saw how small my life had been. When I finally powered my phone back on, it convulsed. Hundreds of missed calls, thousands of WhatsApps. Most were from Emery, venom, then threats, then begging, and finally limp check-ins. Serena, you there? I landed a job at a big firm. As soon as I get paid, I'll return every cent. I deleted the thread without blinking. Old colleagues had texted too. After I quit, I cut everyone off so Emery wouldn't accuse me of flirting. Time to rejoin the living. I invited Luna, my best and top-tier headhunter, for dinner. She took one look at me and squealed. Holy hell, Serena. You finally crawled out of your shell. I grinned. Needed some fresh air. She whistled. Radiant. Divorce looks good on you. The best makeover ever. We talked for hours. Over dessert, she mentioned my old company had been swallowed by a conglomerate right after I left. Oh, she added, I'm filling a CMO slot at this outfit. Innotech Group. New chairwoman, 30, tops ruthless. Name's Serena. Whole circles calling her the next queen of everything. My coffee cup paused midair. What a coincidence, I murmured. After dinner, Luna drove me home. She parked beneath the glass tower I lived in and let out a long, low whistle. Prime riverfront, new build. Must have cost your ex a fortune in the settlement. I rolled down the window and pointed upward, not at one floor, but the entire structure. It's not one unit. It's the whole building. Luna's jaw dropped. You own the entire high-rise. Premarital asset. She smacked the steering wheel. Serena, you stealth billionaire. I can't believe you ghosted me for 5 years and never spilled this. I laughed until tears came. A 5-year storm cloud evaporated in that instant. So you're collecting, what, 12 grand a month in rent? She asked as we cruised along the river. I nodded. And change. She blinked. Side hustle? What's your real job? Defending the galaxy? I smiled mysteriously. You'll see. A few days later, I texted her an address, the penthouse of the Global Finance Tower, downtown's shiniest spire. She arrived while I was in a board meeting. My assistant escorted her to my corner office, 200 square meters of glass overlooking the whole city. When I walked in, she was still frozen in the doorway, staring at the plaque. Chairwoman. You are Inoteca's new chairwoman? I patted her shoulder. Why else would I summon you? Coffee catch-up. Luna gulped air like a scuba diver. How many more secrets are you sitting on? That was the last vault, I said, pouring her a glass of Voss. I bought Inotec with the remainder of my parents' estate. Majority shareholder. So you're a land baron and a corporate warlord? Essentially. She leaned forward. Does Emery know? He's about to. I sipped water. Speaking of which, you mentioned recruiting a marketing director? Yeah, I've got 3 killer resumes ready. Shred them. I'm scrapping the entire marketing department. But marketing is infested. I cut in. Time for fumigation. Luna didn't realize I'd already seen the new hire roster. 2 names glowed like poison. Emery, Ellis. They'd clawed their way into the last place on Earth they should be. Small world, small enough to crush them under its heel. I set the glass down and hit the intercom. All hands meeting, 15 minutes. No exceptions. The next level was about to begin. The glass-walled amphitheater at Inotec headquarters was packed shoulder to shoulder. Hundreds of employees sat bolt upright, whispering side to side, all trying to guess why the emergency all-hands had been called. Emery and Ellis were wedged right in the middle. The siblings, crisp in brand-new business attire, couldn't wipe the swagger off their faces. Landing gigs at a titan like Inotec felt like catapulting from bottom feeders to sharks in a single day. Emery was already daydreaming. He'd dazzle the brass, rocket up the ladder, and one day grind the woman named Serena under his heel, make her regret every second she'd ever crossed him. Big bro, what do you think the new chairwoman will be like? Ellis whispered. Doesn't matter, Emery said, straightening his tie. We deliver, we shine. I hear marketing's about to spin up a monster project. Perfect runway for us. Got it. The double doors swung open. CEO Jordan stepped in beside a woman in a razor-sharp custom suit. Instant silence. Every pair of eyes snapped to her. She looked barely 30, yet the room bent around her like gravity. She reached the podium one deliberate step at a time, each footfall syncing with 100 heartbeats. When she turned, Emery and Ellis's grins froze solid. That face. The same face they knew by heart and hated down to the bone. Serena. Impossible. What was she doing here? She was supposed to be some rent-collecting housewife in yoga pants. How could she be Inoteca's new chairwoman? Emery's mind went white. This had to be a fever dream. He dug his nails into his thigh. The stab of pain told him he was wide awake. The woman on stage was Serena, the wife he'd belittled for 5 years, the woman his mother had dumped leftover slaw on, the one he'd kicked out with nothing. Jordan lifted the mic. Team, please join me in giving the warmest possible welcome to Inoteca's new chairwoman, Rowan. Thunderous applause rocked the glass walls. Only Emery and Ellis sat frozen, bloodless as wax figures. On stage, I swept the room with a calm gaze until it landed on the 2 panic-stricken masks in row 12. I raised the microphone and let a faint smile curve my lips. Good morning. I'm your new boss, Serena. Pleased to meet you all. Let me share our first order of business. In line with the board's strategic vision, we're optimizing corporate structure, starting now. First on the chopping block, the marketing department. Effective immediately, Inotec no longer has a marketing arm. All existing marketing personnel are dissolved on site. Gasps ricocheted through the amphitheater. The marketers turned ash gray. Emery and Ellis looked electrocuted. They hadn't even warmed their desk chairs for a full day. The termination list is already with HR. I continued. If your name's on it, grab your paperwork after this meeting. I smiled again. Just a polite flash of teeth. To Emery, it looked colder than a scalpel. At last he understood what I'd meant by taking out the trash. I wasn't only his landlord, I was his employer. I could evict him from life as easily as from an apartment. From home to career, it was a textbook hostile takeover. The moment I stepped off the dais, Emery bolted like a madman. "Serena, you vindictive bitch. You're axing us for personal revenge." Two security guards tackled him before he cleared the aisle, pinning him while he raved at my back. I didn't bother turning around. Talking would waste oxygen. Ellis slumped in her chair, repeating like a broken toy, "This can't be real. This can't be real." Minutes later, HR manager appeared with a call list. "Taylor, Sam, let's get your exit forms processed." The siblings were let out like shelter dogs on their last walk. Back in my corner office, Jordan followed, forehead creased. "Jamie, axing the entire department in one swing. Headlines are going to roast us." Headlines. I spun my chair toward the window and the antline of traffic 40 stories below. I lost my capacity to fear gossip the day my ex splashed me with gravy in front of his TikTok camera. A department that hemorrhages cash and generates drama is a parasite. Excise it. Anyone worth their salt will land on their feet. The rest deserve the market's filter. Innotech isn't a welfare program, and it definitely isn't a landfill. My tone stayed level, but Jordan caught the titanium underneath. He exhaled. "Understood, Jamie." I sipped the espresso my assistant had set on the teak desk. "Oh, draft a recommendation email for every terminated employee. Praise their exceptional talent and call them my regrettable loss." Jordan blinked. "A recommendation?" "Precisely." I smiled. "Send it to every HR department in town." Comprehension dawned in his eyes, followed by respect bordering on fear. That letter wasn't a lifeline, it was a blackball. With the chairwoman of Innotech gushing they were outstanding, no one would touch them, especially Emery and Ellis. Burn the bridge, salt the earth, and poison the river below. Standard procedure. That afternoon, an unknown number lit up my phone. It was Avery, my former mother-in-law, voice syrupy with desperation. "Xiao Jing, Jamie. It's Emery's mom. What do you want?" I asked ice cold. The kids were foolish. They're young, impulsive. Could you find it in your heart to give them one more chance? We'll kowtow if we have to. I almost laughed out loud. "Cameron?" I handed Emery 5 years of chances. He treated them like used napkins. The second that bowl of leftover slaw hit my head, every bridge between us detonated. Live or starve, they're not my problem anymore. I killed the call and blocked the number.
Silence at last.
I thought the curtain had fallen. But a few nights later, Emery turned up at Meridian, my building. He waited by the curb, arms flung wide as my car rolled in. I stomped the brake. The bumper kissed his kneecaps. He went chalk white, but didn't budge. I powered the window down and stared. He looked a decade older. Hair matted, eyes sunken, once sharp suit wrinkled like old lettuce. "Serena, we need to talk." "There's nothing to discuss." "5 minutes, please." Horns blared behind me. Not wanting theater for the neighbors, I jerked my chin at the passenger seat. "Get in." He slumped inside. The cabin filled with the sour stink of someone who hadn't showered in days. I cracked the window further. "Speak." "I was wrong," he croaked. "I mocked you. Swallowed mom's poison. I'm garbage." He slapped himself, hard, twice, cheeks flaming. Smack. Smack. The sound was crisp and loud. I watched his performance with a blank expression. "Give me one more chance, Serena. Let's get remarried, okay? I swear I'll treat you like a queen from now on. Put the house in both our names. No, yours alone. I'll walk away with nothing. Just let me come back to you." I stared at that face plastered with sincerity, and suddenly felt it was all so boring. "Emery, do you think every woman is just like you? Only sees money?" He froze. "I'll tell you why I married you back then. I thought you were honest, decent, good to me. I thought money didn't matter. But I was wrong. Money really isn't important. But a person's heart, now that's important. Your heart is black. It disgusts me." My words were a blade sliding straight into his heart. All color drained from his face in an instant. "So you came here today just to waste my breath?" I asked, impatient. "If that's it, you can get lost." He looked at me, The plea in his eyes curdled into resentment and mania. Serena, don't push me. Oh, what exactly will you do? I asked, perfectly calm. He yanked something from his pocket, a voice recorder. You think you covered your tracks? I've had an ace up my sleeve all along, he snarled. Every chat log, every scrap of proof of how you faked being broke to trick me, it's all in here. I'll dump it on every social platform. I'll let the whole world see how scheming you are. I'll ruin you. He thought it was his trump card. He thought I'd be scared, that I'd fold. Too bad, he bet on the wrong horse. I smiled at him, slow and deliberate. Great, I said. Post it. Better yet, do it right now on every app you've got. I'll even buy you a trending hashtag. I've already got the title. Hashtag gold digging boy tries to pee billionaire X, gets booted out. How's that sound? Emery's jaw hit the floor. He never imagined I wouldn't flinch. Do you? I reached into the console and pulled out my own trump card, a flash drive. Thought you were the only one with insurance. Emery, forgot we had security cameras installed? Forgot how you stood by and watched while your mom humiliated me? Forgot calling me a freeloader, a hen that wouldn't lay? Forgot how your sister helped herself to my stuff and acted like she was entitled? Forgot your little sexting sessions with WhatsApp Lily? With every sentence his face went another shade paler. By the time I finished, he was chalk white and shaking. This little stick holds 5 years of your family's ugliest moments. If I release it alongside your evidence, whose story will people believe? Who will be the one ruined then? I waved the drive in front of his eyes. Now take your trash and get the hell out of my car. He tumbled out, scrambling like a kicked dog. He even left the cheap recorder behind on the seat. I picked it up, rolled down the window, and tossed it into the roadside trash can, dumping a moldy, stinking past along with it. From that day on, Emery and his clan vanished from my world. Word is they slunk back to their backwater hometown with their tails between their legs. Industry blacklisted. Emery can only find odd jobs in some rundown parts factory in the county seat. Ellis married a twice-divorced man 20 years her senior. Rumor says he has a foul temper and beats her. Blanche, my mother-in-law, suffered a stroke and lies paralyzed, eating and excreting in bed. Emery and Ellis squabble over who is to care for her, finally dumping her alone in the crumbling family house to rot. Luna feeds me every juicy update, savoring each detail like dessert. I feel nothing. No vindictive thrill, not a trace of pity. Their lives, good or bad, are no longer my concern. All I feel is the lightness of finally taking out the trash. My own life is back on track. Under my leadership, Vervteca's share price rockets sky high. Business magazines feature me on every other cover. The young, gorgeous, deep-pocketed chairwoman. Suitors line up from the company gate all the way to France. Brilliant startup kings, gentle Ivy League professors, even a boy band heartthrob a few years my junior. Luna nags daily. Serena, it's time for a new chapter. Don't swear off the whole forest just because you tripped over one crooked tree. I only smile. It's not fear of love. It's that I no longer need it. Once, love was coal in my winter. Now it's embroidery on silk. Nice if present. No worry if absent. I alone am an entire army. I am nobody's wife, nobody's daughter-in-law. I am Serena, a perfectly average landlady who pockets $120K in monthly rent and moonlights as chairwoman. I lavish time on myself now. A private trainer, dawn yoga, sculpted muscle. I enroll in everything: floral design class, oil painting workshop, dressage. I travel solo, feeding pigeons in Paris, chasing cherry blossoms in Tokyo, hunting the aurora across Iceland. My world keeps expanding, more dazzling by the day. One afternoon in Switzerland, I catch an edge and tumble on the slopes. A man glides up and extends a gloved hand. Miss, are you okay? His voice is cello-rich. I squint against the sun and meet sapphire eyes set in a handsome mixed-race face. He helps me up, checks for injuries, and kindly escorts me back to the hotel. We talk for hours. His name is Luca, a globe-roving architect who designs skyscrapers by day and emotional safe rooms by night. We exchange contacts. From then on, we stay in touch. He sends me wild blueprints from distant sites. I text him photos of my latest canvas. We feel like old soulmates who missed the earlier train. Half a year later, he materializes under my office tower clutching a huge bouquet of sapphire-tinted roses. "Serena," he says, eyes starbright, "I've circled the planet and discovered the finest view is right here. May I have the honor of becoming part of your landscape?" I look at his earnest face and laugh. This time I don't hesitate. I step forward and accept the flowers. Of course. In the sunset, our shadows stretch, long and intertwined. I know I won't misread the signs again, because when you can see the whole horizon, you finally recognize which star burns brightest. Thanks for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate today's story? If you liked it, like and share. We can't wait to read your comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales. Until next time.